Well, hello there, my friends. Amy Friese reporting to you today on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2013 for another installation of my Ironman, Wisconsin video journey. And I come to you today a successful half iron finisher. So, I'm very excited to share with you my experience. So we'll talk about workouts and races, nutrition, and then motivation, inspiration. So first and foremost, I finished my first half iron distance race. Now, let me just clarify, and a lot of people don't know, I didn't know until I did it, but the race that I did was a half iron distance race. Now, it's not called a half Ironman because it's not sanctioned in, directly with Ford, who owns Ironman trademark. So it's just the exact same distance as all the half Ironman, but it's called a half iron distance. So I still swam 1.2 miles and biked 56 and then ran a half marathon, which is 13.1, all in one day. And I'm very happy to say that I was so close to my goal time. My final time was 6 hours and 38 minutes. I was done with my swim in about 52 minutes. I want to say my first transition was a little over 5 minutes. Had to take care of some girl stuff. And then I was on the bike for, oh my gosh, a little over 320, I want to say about, in transition again for 4 minutes. And then I kicked ass on the run. I did, I want to say a 2:10. Which put me at about a 10-minute pace. So you can check my math if you want, but that's just off the top of my head. I'm going to put my race report on Beginner Triathlete very soon as the site gets back up. That is for the race report, so I'm very excited to do that. But all in all, it was an awesome day. So those are by far my favorite workouts for the week. I'll break down a little bit about what my experience was for each of them and tell you, like physically what was going on, like emotionally what was going on. First and foremost, I was very scared of the swim. On Saturday, they had a sprint and the waves were like, so the swim was in Lake Michigan, right? And our friend Dave did the sprint and Christy did the sprint too. And boy, they were in and out of the water pretty quick, but those waves were significant. So I wasn't sure what to expect. Now, I've done open water swims many times, right? But this is the first time that I've done it on race day for a long distance in choppy water, what I consider to be choppy water because I'm not familiar with it. So race morning, I just decided I'm going to finish regardless. I mean, if it takes me longer than I want, then hey, so be it. I'm just going to make sure that I get it done. Going out was fine, got into my groove, took my first right. Eventually I got into the groove, you always get those little race jitters. But when I started to take that first left turn, which was on the straightaway, then the men caught up with me, and I wasn't used to that. And there's nothing wrong with it, but with the little choppy water, and then like dudes that were whoosh coming past me, I was like freaking out. So the groove that I had found previously was completely shot. So the swim for me was tough because I was scared, because I was in a situation that I wasn't accustomed to, and so I had to adapt. And I'll tell you, sure, there were times where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but never did I think I'm going to quit. Like, I was ready to be done, and I was tired, and I was just like frustrated at some points and scared, but I just kept going because in my mind I kept saying to myself, I belong here, I belong here, I belong here. No one's going to stop me from doing this race. I'm going to keep going because I want to be done with this effing swim so I can get on my bike and ride really fast. So when we got back at that second left turn and shore kept getting closer and closer and closer, I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to not stop or if I'm not going to keep going. So I just kept going until I get in there. And then, of course, you see the crowd off, and I saw Dave, and I was like, yeah, and I looked at him, and I was like, I'm so glad that's finished. And then Amy Jo finished right behind me, so that was so awesome to see her. Grabbed my bike, got my stuff, used the little girls' room, and then took off. So the bike was really good. The bike was, I want to say mostly flat. No hills compared to what Ironman Wisconsin's going to be like, but there were some good ones, some good climbs. And at the turnaround, I had to pee so flipping bad that I made a promise to myself that if there were no bathrooms at the turnaround, that I would go to the bathroom on the bike, just pee on the bike, because apparently triathletes do this. And since I'm a triathlete now, I feel like obligated to try it at least once. But thank God there was a porta potty. So I had to go to the bathroom because I really didn't want to have to pee on the bike. And then finish that. So it was really fun to play with my strategy because I had a game plan and I knew I wanted to stay at least 16 miles an hour, between 15 and 16. Like 15 would have gotten me at 3.5. I ended up getting 16.5 average, which was really good. But near the end, I was getting excited because I was ready to be done, right? And I had to pull myself back a few times, but then give. So I played this game about this, like giving and taking, about like, okay, how much of a calculated risk do I want to go to push, and then how much do I want to pull back? I didn't want to hold back too much, but I didn't want to push too much. So I gave a little bit more than I thought I don't want to say should have, but I tested it. I tested the waters, and it turned out to be perfectly fine because this was my practice race, right? So got back into transition. Simone made it safely back into her transition spot. Simone is my bike. And then excuse me, I was so happy to get those shoes on, threw the shoes on, out of transition after using the restroom room, and then kept going. And I did my 9-minute run, 1-minute walk. And I was running at a 9-minute pace because my average for the run was 10-minute mile. So I was very happy with that. The run was by far the most fun for me. There were some significant hills. It's one of the most challenging half marathons that I've ever run. The Wisconsin Dells was by far the most challenging, hilly to say the least. But I walked 2 of the hills up. I walked the bluff, but I felt great. It just was so wonderful to be at that run, knowing that I had like 13 miles to go. Then I had 9 miles to go. Then I had 8 miles to go. Then I had 7. Then next thing I knew, I only had a 5K. So I was like, get going. And it was so nice to see Dave on the run. It was so nice to see other friends of mine that were competing. And at like mile 8, I saw my husband who was driving up to see me at the finish. So that was like awesome. I hear off of my shoulder, I'm like, go wifey, go wifey, go. And I was like, oh, I hope that's my husband. And sure as shit, I turned and there he is. So that was like by far the highlight of my entire race. So finished downhill, like bat out of hell. I didn't want to run fast, but I did, and I still could have run a little faster, but it was a practice, right? But I finished and got done and had a hell of a good race, and it was a beautiful day. It was in the 70s. It was perfect. I mean, short of the swim being like glass, it was perfect. Like, it was great for the bike, great for the run. So I'm very happy about that. So, nutrition. My nutrition was spot on. I did awesome. I was so proud of myself the night before. We all get together for a spaghetti dinner. I opted out of the spaghetti, but I had my baked potato with spaghetti sauce on it. So thank you, Amy, Joe, and Craig, for making awesome dinner. That was so much fun, and we got to hang out all together. There were like, 15 or 20 of us. It was wonderful just to kind of let loose and hang out and all that good stuff. So that was very fun. And then for race morning, I got up and I had my my gluten-free bread, my raisin cinnamon with my peanut butter and half a banana and sprinkle cinnamon. And then before getting into the water, I had a gel with some caffeine in it, and a little bit, like half an hour, 45 minutes before that, I had a couple bites of a bonk breaker, so that helped. So got off the bike, got out of the water, right? And then what I did was I did gel Larabar, gel bonk breaker, gel, and I think I ended with a gel off the bike, and then I gelled twice on the run. And then on the bike, I alternated water Gatorade every 10 minutes, and that really helped break things up. So I felt awesome. I was a little sore at the end, but I was barely sore yesterday at all, which shows nutrition on, rest on, training on. So it was awesome. So nutrition was great. I ate a lot the day of the race. They had like pulled pork and roasted corn, and I had like half a beer. Beer didn't taste as good as I thought it was. It was even a Bock, but lots of water. I got my chocolate milk on the way home. So Joni and I drove home. That was awesome. And had a great time. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention too, thank you Janet and Dave for being fantastic people. And this is, okay, I'll get into inspiration, motivation. Dave, Janet, and I drove up to Door County together. We stayed together for 2 nights at Cliff Dwellers, which I highly recommend. Thank you, Cliff Dwellers. And then Jody and I drove back together. So that was really fun. It was just really good to hang out, to commiserate together, but to really keep each other motivated and inspired. That was like, you know, Janet said it perfectly. She's like, I have the best friends in the whole wide world, and I ditto that like a million times because we get each other. We've seen each other at our highest highs and our lowest lows. We've seen each other cry, and we talk about going to the bathroom all the time, and we talk about family, and we just talk about life in general, and it's such a blessing. It really is. And I'd like to also give a special shout out to Scott and Colleen Stoltman for carting around Simone so much. They were so awesome, brought her up, brought her back home. Thank you for kidding me about adjusting the seat, but not really adjusting the seat, because that would have been very sad, but I would have figured it out. But anyway, so thanks so much. It was great to see Shad and Christy. It was awesome to see Amy, Joe, and Craig. We saw Anna, and I met her husband, Dan. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting somebody. I'm sure I am, but if I am, I'm so sorry. Oh, Brad and his wife, Carrie, and their little daughter, Abby. So thank you, Abby, for squirting me with the squirt gun. That was awesome fun. Like, it all just comes together, and all the motivation, all the inspiration, really supporting one another. Like, it's great. I have great friends, and I hope you have great friends, too. And if you want some great friends, get into triathlons and get out there. So that's it for my video for this week, my friends. Ironman is in 7.5 weeks. It was 8 weeks from Sunday, so that's 2 months. So we're getting down to like the quick of it all. And Dave and I went over my training plan this morning. It's very doable. Don't get me wrong. And at the same time, it's like, so like things are fitting exactly where they need to. I have a lot of 100 bike rides to do. I don't want maybe 2 or 3. I have a lot of swimming to do. Running feels really good, so I have 16 and a 20 in there. But that's all going to come together, one step at a time, and lots of sleep and water. So, all right, well, that's it, though, for today, my friends. Oh, and by the way, check out my shirt. I'm sure you've seen it already, but Door County. Have fun. But AV Friese checking out for you today on Tuesday, July 23rd, for my video installation of my Ironman journey. But remember, check me out on Facebook and Twitter, and at fearlessnutritionllc.com. And in the meantime, please, please, please remember to eat smart, move strong, and live fearless. Get scared. It's so worth it. Just keep going through. All right, until we meet again, my friends, be well. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.